I'll be the first to admit I'm not the best at math. And it's difficult for me to count on my fingers with my hands on the steering wheel. But it was while driving to Utah early on a foggy morning that I realized this was my 15th consecutive year visiting Zine for fall color. And somehow, despite my own familiarity with the park, my sense of wonder has only grown through the years, fueled perhaps by the smaller details easily overshadowed by Zine's towering canyon walls. The sweet vanilla scent of ponderosa's carried on a warm autumn breeze. The jubilant song of a well-concealed canyon wren. And the silhouette of a raven against a clear blue sky, followed by the sound of coarse feathers slicing through the dry desert air. These are the secrets Zine reveals to those patient enough to listen, away from the crowds and iconic views. This is the Zine I've come to embrace over the past 15 years. And despite how many times I've driven this road, I still get the chills every time I catch a glimpse of Zine's colorful sandstone. In many ways, it feels like coming home. Perhaps it's bad form to give away the end of the story, but this was one of my most enjoyable visits to Zine in years. No struggles, perfect conditions, and pure photography at its finest. This is a story of my fall of 2023 visit to Zine National Park.
Well, it's a little after 2:45, and I set up camp and out wandering now to get a feeling for the status of the fall color. Now, I'm arriving on the same day that it last year, so this is October 17th. And last year, when I got here, all the maples in this area were very green, all the oaks were very green. But if you look behind me here, you'll notice that color's already here. There's even some leaf litter on the ground. And I'm kind of excited about this. I'd say the color is probably about a week earlier than last year. And this will give me an opportunity to hopefully find some photos on the ground with some leaf litter, which is something that I was wanting to do the past couple of years, but it just took so long for the maples to turn color. And there's an area that I'm hoping to visit tomorrow morning that I had tried to photograph last year, and that tree was quite green, but this year it should have some nice color on it. But it's just so nice and calm here. Once you're in the shade, there's a nice breeze. Other than that, it's actually pretty hot. This is the hottest it's ever been in terms of, me showing up here in mid-October or so. But that's gonna change. There's a chance of rain in the next probably 3, 4, 5 days. And then after that, it'll cool down a little bit. But I'm enjoying going for a wander. I've got my full 8x10 kit on my back, just because things are already so shootable. But I'm really looking forward to what I find this year and all the opportunities that await.
So that is 4 seconds at 45, and the wind is absolutely calm right now. Not a single leaf is moving, and the reflected light is absolutely gorgeous. And this was a pretty easy scene to meter because, well, it's the exact same light as I photographed last year. And I looked back at my notes and saw that it was 4 seconds at f45 and double checked it with my light meter, and there you go. So I might stick around a little longer and perhaps expose another sheet of film just as a safety, but an absolutely beautiful morning here in Zion. Wonderful fall color, and it's like paradise here. I've got my camera set up at a rather awkward angle here, and I'm photographing this tree right up there, which might be a little hard to see on the video. But I came over here last year and I took a picture of this tree with my iPhone, and I really like the structure of the branches and how it's in some nice reflected light and up against a wall of sandstone. So I used my 450mm lens and composed a vertical composition of that tree back there, and it was 7 seconds at f45. And typically I try to get the branch structure in focus, but here I think it's more about the story of the leaves against the back wall, and there's some dead branches there too, which are kind of interesting. But by stopping it down to f45, we'll see what I get. My meter setting was kind of somewhere between 6 and 8 seconds, so I just went with 7, which should give me enough detail on the darker areas as well as the background wall.
but it's absolutely calm. I mean, I wouldn't even attempt a photo like this if there was a bit of a breeze, but the leaves aren't moving at all. So, absolutely glorious morning here. And there's all sorts of other subjects here too. Even back behind me here, you see these maple branches hanging down there, catching some nice warm reflected light. So I'm gonna have to stare at these for a little while and see if I can find a composition. But it's so calm and peaceful here, just the crickets going. They don't know what's going on midday now. And some bird calls as well. But it's just such a calming place to be. And I love the fact that I have as much time as I need to find compositions and work with the subjects, just because the wind is calm, the light is good, there's no clouds. So I'm going to wander a little bit and see if I can find anything else to put my camera at. I have 4 more sheets of film with me right now, and certainly would be nice to find a few more subjects while the conditions are so great. And that's the other thing too I was thinking, is that you really can't take anything for granted when it comes to being out here. It'd be so easy just to walk past something and say, hey, I'll photograph that next time. But when the conditions are great, you just got to make the most of it. But absolutely beautiful day here in Zine. So after taking the vertical photo of the tree, I spent some time looking around, and those branches that are back behind me, I found a composition for them. So same lens, 450 millimeter, and set up a horizontal composition. And it's chaotic, but there's some form to the branches. And these leaves are more backlit by the reflected light than the ones I photographed earlier. And in this case, it's the branches that I'm focusing on as opposed to the leaves. And I'm stopping down a bit, so I think I'll probably get a fair amount of the leaves in focus as well. But there's this really interesting structure with these branches coming in from different angles, and I'm just filling the frame with chaos. But that is 3 subjects today, and the conditions are absolutely beautiful. So I think I'm going to get my camera packed up, head back to my truck, grab some lunch, and then spend some time exploring a different part of the park. Because yesterday I found some areas with some really beautiful leaves on the ground, kind of strewn between rocks, and I think I might be able to get an afternoon photo there. So I might be able to expose even more film today, which would be great. But, man, absolutely beautiful this morning. That's for sure. So that was 2 seconds at 45, and I used my wide angle lens here to set up a photo with this branch in the foreground, rocks with all the leaves in the background. And depth of field is really a difficult thing for a scene like this, because that branch is pretty close to the camera, the rocks and leaves are further away. So I'm actually using some reverse tilt so that the plane of focus goes in this way, so I can hopefully connect some of those rocks in focus down there to the branch here. There's gonna be a lot of this that's not in focus, but this definitely falls into the category of a little bit more of an experimental sort of photo. And thankfully the wind is calm, the light's pretty good right now, and my wide angle lens is going to give me the largest depth of field of all the lenses I have, so we'll see how this goes. But now I think I'm going to see if I can find a composition of just the leaves, I said that funny, of the leaves on the ground with the rocks and stuff. And that is an easier photo in terms of depth of field and exposure and everything else. So that's pretty cool though. 4 subjects so far today, and let's see if we can find number 5. I always test fire the shutter before actually taking the photo, and before pulling the dark side, because it's just a quick way of knowing that everything is working fine. But also, the shutter will not fire if the lens is open, so it saves you from frying the film. But I got this setup here: a small scene, some rocks, some leaves. Using my 240mm lens. I metered it at 4 seconds. And I had to add 0.7 stops of extra exposure because I'm extending my bellows a little bit. But everything is set. Let me just grab my stopwatch and do our 4 seconds. Double check the aperture so right. All right. And right now the sunlight is hitting just off to the left, so it's bouncing some warm light in here right now. So makes it nice to work with. And let's do 4 seconds. Just like that. So for this composition, I have this triangular shaped rock there, kind of anchoring the foreground, some leaves up against it, and then just fill in the frame with chaos. And there's a few rocks there that were a little bit distracting, so I just found a composition to avoid those. This is a pretty crazy day. It's a lot of subjects photographed, and the conditions are supposed to be quite nice like this for the next couple days or so. So definitely feeling pretty great about this.
The conditions that day were among the best I've seen in years. Calm wind, blue skies, and plentiful fall color, both on the trees and on the ground. It's no wonder I was able to photograph 5 subjects in a single day, resulting in 3 portfolio images. My final photo that afternoon turned out fine, though I'm not especially attached to it. Perhaps my perception will change with time. The wide-angle photo of that scene was fun to compose, but also misses the mark. It's the 3 photos I took that morning that I prefer. The softly backlit maple branches, the upward view of the large maple, and especially the golden maple across the grassy meadow. Despite the long exposures used for each of these photos, not a single leaf or blade of grass stirred while the shutter was open. The golden maple is a subject I've had my eye on for many years, and it feels great to finally have a photo I'm proud of. This photo very much gives the feeling of being there, basking in the glow of warm reflected light. I love the imposing presence of the mature maple, with its barren branches reaching toward the lower right corner. while its delicate leaves stand so gracefully against the warm wall of sandstone. And the overhanging maple reminds me of a stained glass window. I toned down the yellow glow on this one, giving it a more natural appearance. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you around next time. You may have noticed this video has no ads and no sponsors, and I think it's nicer that way. If you enjoy this ad-free and clickbait-free content and want to help me live my dream, a voluntary contribution through PayPal or by joining my Patreon helps keep my gas tank full and my film freezer stocked. You can find more information by visiting my website at benhorne.com/donate. I also have prints, eBooks, and my annual portfolios available on my website. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you around next time.